So in today's video we are going to be talking about buying the gold cards of the Bundesliga team of the season. So just before the video does start, a quick little ad on a trading service I offer over on Twitch. For the cheapest premium trading service for just £4, €4 or free with Amazon Prime. You'll get yourself daily trading and investing guides covering both Xbox and PlayStation with an array of different techniques depending on your budget. I've been trading for over 10 years, making over 100 million on multiple titles, and recently making over 10 million in the first month for the last 3 years. So in today's video, we're going to be showing you guys the trend of buying gold cards before they go out of packs for Team of the Season. We're going to have a little look at how well the Prem did, we're going to look at the ones that didn't do well in the Prem, and then at the end of the video, we're going to be talking about the Bundesliga gold cards I recommend buying before this Friday, with them going out of packs. So the idea is that when someone gets a Team of the Season card, you cannot go and pack their gold card. And as a result of not being able to go and pack their gold card, it means that that gold card supply is halted. For example, Gold Salah. Gold Salah has not been in packs since Friday because we've had Team of the Season Salah. Which means that if people have wanted to use Gold Salah in an SBC, or maybe they've wanted to use him in their teams, Gold Salah has risen and risen and risen. Because what there is there's people taking him off the market, but he's not being resupplied. So the idea is that because the supply gets lower and lower and lower, the price has to get higher and higher and higher because there's now less cards to meet the demand. So what we're going to be doing is showing you all the players that worked well during the Prem Team of the Season for this trend. So the Premier League gold cards that have done well are split into two different groups. You've got players that have done well because of the generic SBCs we've had since Friday. For example, that SBC that needed a 3-4-3 with, I think it was about 27 chemistry. And then you've also got players that aren't doing amazingly, but they're up slightly because they're used for player SBCs and upgrade SBCs. Starting off here with Saka. So his trend is a little bit weird because this time last week we were recommending to buy him at 2k. He actually did go all the way up to 9k, but there was another investing opportunity as soon as he went out of packs. And the reason for this is because I guess a lot of people over-invested in him. So that's one thing you can be aware of, but when we're talking over-invested, we're saying, you know, he was 8-9k, not this point where we're looking at right here with him being 1.7k. Well, he went down to 2.3k, and then for the upgrade SBC just the other day, he probably went all the way back up to 10k. Yeah, he went up here to 8.5k again. So you can see he went down into 4.4 and then up there to 8.5k. But previous to that, when we were recommending buying him, he was only going for 2k, and then he did very well for the SBC Pre. So then moved to Ramsdale, and Ramsdale has gone from the best part of 2k all the way up here to about 2.7, 2.8. And again, these cards, this isn't the final point of these cards. These cards should continue rising and rising and rising, but it's just showing you this trend in action. And again, he's also gone up for the generic SBC. Once again, we look at Martinelli, 1.6, already up to 2k. He was again buyable at 700 coins, and then did go down to 1.5 and now back up at 2, and again he'll continue rising. Saliba, once again we can see the exact same trend. On Friday you were able to go and buy this guy at about 2k, again when we recommended he was only a k, but he went up for a generic. But nonetheless, even at 2k, and even down here at 1.1, he's then proceeded to move up to 2.5 and should continue rising through the week. Now we get to the likes of Trippier. Now, these are quite interesting because, again, these did get quite heavily invested. And then on Friday they dropped a little bit because of the fodder, but the idea is they should rise through the week. Obviously, last week we had a bit of an exception, and that was that a lot of fodder did very, very well before it even went out of packs because of one of the generic SBCs, which arguably skews the trend a little bit. But we can see that he's already moved from 3.9 to 4.3k. We can then see the likes of Reece James since going out of packs on Friday. Once again, he wouldn't have so much of a skewed trend because he wasn't needed for that generic SBC that made everything bang pre. He went 4.4 and is already up at 5.3 and keeps rising. And Odegaard's had about the same as Trippier, where he's held price. Now, I've researched every single one of them, and all the expensive ones went down in price, which was the exact same trend as last year. Now, why has that occurred? That's occurred because people just don't do expensive SBCs. Yes, we have St. Maxim, but are there as many people doing St. Maxim as there is doing a generic SBC for XP for the Season Pass? Is there as many people doing St. Maxim as there is the guaranteed Prem Team of Season? The answer is no, which is why we don't see these high-rated players do well, or at least they haven't done well yet. The 84s have held in comparison to the high rated that have gone down in price, and that's because they've been used in, you know, the odd upgrade SBC. Maybe they've been used in a few of the upgrade SBCs from last week. Maybe people have used them in the hero pack with a few of the untradeable fodder, which is how they've managed to hold you know, a decent price. So From this, we can take away that I wouldn't buy anything above an 84 or an 85 rated, and I also wouldn't go and buy anything that isn't very useful for generic SBCs. In this team, there are no low-rated players that are well-demanded. For example, Gold Martinelli is not a well-demanded card. Gold Saka is not a well-demanded card. What I'm going to cover right now is basically gold well-demanded cards that go out of packs. For example, Alphonso Davies. So what is a very, very interesting observation is that Davies still went from 4.5k to the likes of 7.5k, despite that actually being a cheap Bundesliga left-back. Which means that the relevance of there being cheap, good Bundesliga left-backs, it doesn't really matter, really. Because, again, this round was only 33k, yet the Alphonso Davies was still able to go from 3.4k all the way up here to 7.6k. I'd say there's potentially a few reasons for this. One, the Bayern Munich links. Obviously, Realm is going to give German Bundesliga links, which I'd say is quite strong and actually does link a lot of the Bayern Munich players. But obviously, Davies does give the Bayern Munich link, which is arguably one of the most demanded clubs in the Bundesliga. On top of that, he is excessively cheap when it comes to maybe he's useful for the likes of objectives. They want a full Bundesliga team, just like how they wanted a full Prem team this week. And that's another reason why. So this is another trend you can go for, which is basically the gold cards having a bit of weekly demand, despite not being both SBC fodder or good for generic SBCs, which is going to be Davies this week. So the prediction we're going to be using is going to be, once again, from Footbin. Last week I think they got alright par 3 or 4, and without having a leak, that's basically as good as it gets. There are a few players we were all very surprised they didn't get one, such as Luke Shaw, Botman and Gabriel were also players on the cards of potentially getting one, but obviously they didn't. So what we are going to do is we are going to use this as our prediction, and we're going to walk through who's a good investment. So we start off here with Cobble. Cobble is basically going for the same price as all 83s. You go and pick him up for 1.2k. I think it's a very, very safe bet. Yeah, just very good for your generic SBCs. If there's any SBCs through the week that specifically want a Bundesliga player, well then he'll literally offer a Bundesliga player at fodder prices and not really anything to risk with the likes of Cobble. But there you go, nice little discard 83. We then move to the likes of Delit. Delit being an 85 rated, very, very good for upgrade SBCs. Almost if there's one rating required more than any other rating, it is an 85, so the likes of Delit is a nice little investment. So then move to the likes of Frimpong. And the reason Frimpong's good is because there are literally no other good discard right backs. Therefore, when people are maybe building teams for their objectives, or whatever, for some reason maybe they're building full Bundesliga teams, he should do well out of packs. I believe he performed pretty well out of packs last year. And again, if we go and look at these right backs, there is really nothing looking appetising apart from Frimpong, making him very good for the likes of objectives. Obviously, you could position change a Klosterman, but these Mazarauis, they really just don't have anything on the lines of Frimpong. So Frimpong should also do well out of pack. There are plenty of other 84s and 85s, but really it's all the exact same reasoning that you've heard. So feel free to go and pick up any 83s to 85s on this list. It's just they all have the exact same reasoning, so there's really no reason for me to cover the cards. You kind of get the gist. So that is going to be it for Bundesliga out of pack investments. 83s to 85s, or players who are good for maybe the objectives because they have a well-demanded gold card that would be out of packs. Thank you very much for watching. Tomorrow we'll be covering potential special Bundesliga players that could do well due to there being a lack of cheap Bundesliga players in a certain position, or potentially there being no good players. But thanks for watching. I will see you guys tomorrow with a brand new video.